We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and their care of it for thousands of years. Open to the Spirit who has ever been present here, we resolve to appreciate its beauty, to be wise stewards of its resources, and to honour the connection the traditional custodians, the Kumbameri from the Agumba Nation, have with this land. Could you please bow your heads for the school prayer? Almighty God, from whom comes every good and perfect gift, send down your blessing and grant upon this school. Teach us to live together in love and joy and peace. In our work, give us the spirit of understanding and perseverance. In our guidance, teach us worship. In our prayers, our hearts and bodies to you. The spirit of devotion of us with our household and us together. So that we may labor not only for our own advantage, but also for the common good. Through him who loved us and gave himself to us, Jesus Christ our Lord. Good afternoon, students and staff, and welcome to today's assembly. Today we will be presenting the Interhouse Cup as opposed to Speech Day, the Language Perfect Certificates, the first of a new Student Council Award, hearing about Sustainability Day, sports and music reports, a Year 9 business promo and a Smith College report from our Year 10s. But before we get on to those, I'd just like to reiterate Aisling's motivational Monday message from yesterday, about appreciating the time you have and making the most of every opportunity given to you. For the Year 12s, everything that we're doing is starting to come at last. Last proper full school assembly, last full week at school, you get the point. As much as we are excited to leave school and start a new chapter in our lives, we also need to embrace the last 19 days of school as much as we can. Don't think that just because there's so little time left at school that you can't make a lasting impact on our community and that you can't get the grade that you've worked so hard for, because you absolutely can. To the Year 11s and Year 10s, these next few weeks present the opportunity for you to step up and be the new leaders of the school. Whether you take that opportunity and make the most of it is up to you. To the middle school girls, I can't stress to you enough how important it is to make those long-lasting friendships with the teachers and with your friends. I'm sure on some days you're in the positions of you wish you were in the position of the Year 12s, but it's not worth wasting those 3 years away. Embrace the camps and the dance classes and socials, because you'll regret it if you don't. Just to finish off, I'm not sure if any of you can remember back to January, but in my policy speech, one of my key messages was that we all need to love ourselves and reach our full potential. We all have moments where we doubt ourselves or think that someone else is better for the job, but the truth is that you are so much more capable than what you think you are. Thomas Edison, acclaimed inventor, businessman, and pillar of the 19th and 20th centuries, summed up the potential of St Hilda's girls when he stated, "If we did all of the things that we are capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. So go on, girls, astound yourselves and the world." Thank you.
Well, thank you, Georgia, and congratulations to everyone last week who was involved in the quite remarkable house dinners. I think they were the best round of house dinners that we've had in the school. And one of the things that came out of that was the depth of the public speaking that was around in the school, because dinner after dinner we were fated to some quite wonderful speeches and presentations, and it was very noticeable and absolutely commendable. I guess I also want to take up the theme of starting that process of farewelling our Year 12s. I know Peter Morton put in a plea for please stop the countdown, you know, it's enough's enough, which a little bit of me aligns to, but nonetheless, Peter, I'm sorry, we're going to have a little bit of a go at it today. One of the questions that comes up from time to time at this stage of the year is actually the frequency with which it gets asked of me from Year 12s in particular is, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm not sure what lies ahead. Well, welcome to the gang, really. I mean, that seems to me to be something I worry about too, but nonetheless, we all manage. Can I just say, I think there are a number of ways in which you can start to resolve that, and you can start to do that at a very young age, and this is at least in part for the rest of the assembly, as much as it is for the Year 12. I'm going to segue into it in a slightly unusual way, I guess, and you'll probably say, so what's different? But I am going to return to one of my favourite little websites, which is The Fun Theory. And the fun theory is a collection of clever ways in which people make a difference to people's behaviour. And I'll make clearer, perhaps after, why I've chosen this little short clip to illustrate the point that I want to make after. One of the reasons I wanted to show you that, because when you ponder that silly little video, I wonder where you would see yourself in that. Are you one of the people who just uses the bridge, or do you see yourself as one of the people who would like to create an idea like that? Are you the type of person, I guess this is where I'm segueing to our Year 12s, as you think about the future and you think about where you might go in this world, there are lots and lots of opportunities, but what role do you want to take? Do you want to be the person in the high-vis vest who's simply placing down the duct tape on there with the squeaky cable? Do you want to have made the cable? Do you want to have created the idea? Where do you see yourself unravelling life? I think that's an idea that might work for a couple of days. I'm not absolutely convinced it's going to double the patronage on that bridge for the rest of the bridge's life. I suspect, I just have this sneaky feeling people might get a bit sick of that particular idea, but nonetheless, it worked in the short term. But do you want to be a person who thinks of ideas to change people's behaviour, or do you want to be a person who implements it? Where do you see yourself in life? And in some ways, it's the game that I often play with people to say, well, how do you want to appear in life? Do you want to appear in high vis? Do you want to appear in a white coat? Do you want to be in a blue coat? Do you want to be in casual clothes for the rest of your life? Do you want to be in high fashion? One girl said to me a couple of years ago now, she said she only wanted a job where she could wear stilettos. Well, I have to say, that was a thought that had never occurred to me. But it does mean that she had at least pondered that idea of what her own appearance would be as she pursued the next stage or stages of her life. We see lots of statistics nowadays about the unhappy people in the workforce. In fact, there are statistics that suggest that about 75% of people in the workforce would say they're doing a job they don't want to do. I don't know whether I absolutely buy into those statistics, so I'm not sure that I think that's absolutely the case, but nonetheless, they're trying to make a point that a lot of people make a wrong decision. I don't think there's a problem actually in making a wrong decision. It's what you choose to do about that decision after. It's whether you choose to be happy about it or whether you choose to do something about it. There's always toughing it through, and toughing it through a tough situation is a sensible thing to do for a period of time. But then there's another time where responding and actually responding to do something is another choice you can make. The next thing I want to show you, it comes from a TED Talk, and it was being watched some 3.7 million times. And it's somebody who has a go at getting you on this journey of trying to work out how to make happy decisions in life. One thing that I think comes out of this particular short video is the issue that people who seem to be happy in life seem to have some level of control over it. And the less control you have, the less happy you'll be. And also, the more you are likely to be doing something good for other people, the happier you're likely to be. Now this might run a little counter to those people who've said to me straight up, they've said what they want to do is make a lot of money. And you think, well, there's an aspiration. I wonder if they have any limits on how they wanted to choose to do that. And I have to say, I always worry when people seem to have no identifiable limits on how they seem to want to do that, seem to have a narrow view of their own future. Make what you will of this set of solutions. It gives, in a sense, 5 options on how to decide what to do with your life. Feel free to join in. It invites you as the audience to join in. So see what you make of it and be a participator.
As I talked with my friends, I made an astounding discovery. 80% of them were unhappy with their lives. I feel as though I've wasted my life and I'm halfway through it, they said. I don't know what my life is all about. Now, I was privileged to go to Yale, and we were standing on a summer evening in the middle of Yale's old campus, and the people that I was speaking with were privileged and highly educated and financially well off and in positions of power. And they had the first house and the second house, and they had the first spouse and the second spouse. And 80% of them were unhappy with their lives. Who was happy, the 20%? Well, we had studied literature and Renaissance rhetoric, and we were the theater people and the history geeks. We had studied classes for the joy of learning, not because we thought they were going to direct us to a specific job. We still got jobs. We were living our lives expansively with life's ups and downs. And we did not feel that we had wasted a single minute. And as I spoke with the 20%, the happier 20%, I discovered that each of them knew something about their life purpose because they knew 5 things: who they were, what they did, who they did it for, what those people wanted or needed, and what they got out of it, how they changed as a result. Does that sound hard? It's not. It's actually really simple. In fact, it's so simple that you can learn your life purpose now. You're going to know your life purpose now in the next 5 minutes. Would you like to know your life purpose in the next 5 minutes? Yes. Can you be a little bit louder, because they're making a lot of noise in the tent, and there's just this silly little microphone next to my cheek to hear you. Would you like to know your life purpose in the next 5 minutes? Yes. Thank you. Actually, it's not even going to take 5 minutes. So can I share something else with you? If you're like a lot of us, you have wondered and worried about your life purpose for a long time. And there are books and magazines and workshops and seminars about it. In fact, Amazon lists 151,928 books that refer to how you can learn your life purpose. Well, I know some people who have spent their entire lives trying to learn their life purpose. And look, we can all agree that the unexamined life is not worth living, but if all you're doing is examining, you're not living. So let's figure out the life purpose right now together. Who you are, what you do, who you do it for, what those people want and need, and how they change as a result. Shall we do it? Yes. All right. Everybody, on the count of 5, shout out your first name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brian. Fabulous. That was the first one, only 4 to go. That's who you are. All right, now what do you do? What do you love to do? You love to write, cook, design, create iOS apps, write code, crunch numbers, talk, teach. What do you love to do? And if there's a lot of things that come up for you, focus it down by asking yourself this one question. What is the one thing that right now you feel supremely qualified to teach other people? Think about that in one word. Hold it. Don't release it yet. On the count of 5. What do you do? 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. That's what you do. Now, think about who you do it for. Picture them in your mind. Be ready to say it on the count of 5. Hold it. Don't release it yet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Who do you do it for? Let's see it one more loud. A little bit louder, please. Over the people in the tent. Who do you do it for? Together? Thank you. That is the spirit that we need. Okay, now, what do those people want or need? What do they want or need that they've come to you so you can give them this thing? What do they want or need? In just 1 or 2 words, hold it, don't release it yet. And on the count of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fantastic. Now, this is the best one. How do they change? How do they change or transform as a result of what you give them? On the count of 5, how do they change or transform as a result of what you give them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Terrific. Now, we're going to put this all together kind of in a sentence, okay? Everyone together, louder than the people in the tent. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you do it for? What do they want or need? How do they change as a result? Fantastic. You have all just done something that people who went to Yale could not figure out for 25 years. Congratulations. Give yourselves a hand. Now, why is that formulation so powerful? Because of all those 5 things that you need to know what your life purpose is, only 2 are about yourself. The others, 3 of them, are about other people. Who they are, what they want or need, and how they change as a result. That formulation forces you to be outward-facing. And all the happier people that I met outside the tent on that warm New Haven night, they were outward-facing. They were not inward-facing. They knew very clearly whom they served, what those people needed, and how those people changed as a result. And you may have intuited this already, that the most successful people in any field always focus most on the people that they serve than on how they are served themselves. Happier people make it a point to make other people happy and do things that make them feel well taken care of and secure. If you make other people happy, life teaches us we will be taken care of too. So since you all did so well, we have time for just a little bit of extra credit. One of the most difficult things that happens when you meet people for the first time is they ask you this question. So what do you do? And if you're like some of us, that's a really challenging question sometimes, particularly if you're in these moments where you're between things, or you're feeling vulnerable, or it isn't defined, or what you seem to do isn't what you really do, or what you're paid to do isn't how you define yourself. So when people ask you this question, so what do you do? And also you got this monologue going on, like, why is he asking me, so what do I do? It's because it's that transactional thing where it's like he wants to know if he should really spend time talking to me, or it's that other thing so he can tell me what he does because he's sure it's, really so much better than what I do, right? So when somebody asks you that question, here's what you do. You just say the very last thing you called out, how what you do changes the people you do it for. So for example, you might say, I give kids awesome dreams. If your life purpose is, I write books for children so they can fall asleep at night, so they can have awesome dreams. Or you might say, I help people look and feel their best. If your life purpose is, I design apparel for men and women who need affordable choices so they can look and feel their best. Or you might say, I help people get great work into the world. If your life purpose is, I train entrepreneurs and creative people to take decisive actions so they can get their greatest work into the world. And then that little snippet that you just said becomes your personal elevator pitch. And it will always start the conversation, because the person that you were just talking to has to ask you a question. How do you give kids great dreams? How do you help people look and feel their best? Can people really get their greatest work into the world? And then you get to tell them, and you get to share your life purpose. And you get to share how they may come to learn theirs too.
There's a lot in that, and I would say that every one of you, it's not just the Year 12s, could start that journey of thinking about it. When we get to the end of the year, it's always a time to start thinking about what has it all meant this year? What has all the work meant? What has it contributed? And not to think of it in a selfish way, because it seems to me to be a really sad end to a year. If all you can think of is, I wonder if I'll get a book prize at the end of it. Those are useful things, but they're shallow ultimately. I mean, yes, aim for it, but don't make it the totality of what you're on about. I know I can stand and say, what do I do this job for? Well, it's for you guys. It's simple as that. It's to try and have a happy school where you are well taught, where you're able to create your personality and be yourself and grow as a person. That's what it's all about as far as I'm concerned. That's what brings me back next year. I'll put a plug in for teaching. Fantastic profession. I do not understand why some of you, when I say, what about teaching? And you say, oh no, I wouldn't want to teach kids at school. Like, seriously? You'd look around and think this is a hard job. This is a brilliant job. And it's a brilliant job because there is so much of the richness of life that comes out of it. So, as the Year 12s think, because it's really important, but as everyone thinks, what do you want to become? Where do you want to go? 3 of the questions as he posed to you then were about other people. So what might you do in this world about other people? Golly gosh, now there's a challenge. It's not so hard. It'll be more satisfying if you're contributing to it. It's a bit like saying, we have a problem in this world with global warming. It's other people's problems. No, it's not. It's your generation problem. I can go back long enough in history to tell you what the generational problem was for my generation. We did some things well and some things pretty poorly. Well, you've got some challenges too for your generation. Don't be down about it, be optimistic. Consider how you can play your role in a positive, determined way. It's worth thinking about, and it's worth considering that you will have a role. Year 12s, not much longer to stay here, but plenty of things to do once you leave. And let's leave it at that. Have a great week, everyone. Now I get to do the House Cup, is it now? It's now. Right. So on 64 points. So those with good addition, that's 12 and 14 and 12 and 8 and 12 and 6. 64 points is Melaleuca. On 71 points is Banksia. So that means on 75 points was Karaguru. Congratulations. So they're fairly happy, but also it's been an amazingly successful house competition this year, so really congratulations to everyone. It really is a great contribution.
Good afternoon, everyone. In August of this year, all students of French in Year 9 through to Year 12 and selected students in Year 8 French and Japanese took part in the annual ACER language competition, and there have been some outstanding results. It is our pleasure today to present certificates to students who have attained a result above a distinction standard. Could the following students please come forward to collect their certificates?
Okay, sorry if I pronounce any of your names wrong, but I'll try my best. So for Japanese in grade 8, distinctions go to Akansha Mahajan, Hannah Kennedy, Anastasia, Savannah Van Nieuwenberg. For French, in grade 8, distinction goes to Bianca Berger, Grace Flynn, Nikki McMenanin, no, okay, Sarah McGrath, and Laura Stapleton. A high distinction goes to Caroline Connolly, Estelle Urbain, Georgia Nye, and Abby Van Herwaard. In years 9 and 10, distinction goes to Hannah Jamison, who's absent, Lisa Baylet, Sophie Rice, high distinction goes to Isabel Brealey, Isabella Garzolini, and Tune French. And a double high distinction goes to Sophie Fan. In years 11 and 12, a double distinction goes to Zelda and Pete. A high distinction goes to Georgia Sato. And a double high distinction to Madeline Hall. Could you please congratulate all these girls?
Good afternoon, ladies. As I'm sure you're all very aware, Student Council has had one of its most successful years yet. Thank you to all of the amazing peers that you've all put forward to the Student Council, and especially thank you to the Student Council representatives. We couldn't have done this without you, and we truly have made our mark on the school this year. In celebration of our amazing year, the Student Council have decided to reward the school community through the new Student Council Awards. As this is the only award in the school that is given from a student to another student, we've put a lot of thought into the first recipients of these badges.
This prestigious award is not necessarily given to someone who has a leadership position, but someone who represents the spirit of the Student Council by getting involved in all areas of schooling life, helping to make others' lives easier, demonstrating positivity in the values of the school and non-novus solum, contributing to student councils to make the school a better place, taking initiative and being a role model, and will be awarded to one senior school and one middle school student per term. And we'll send out an email of the badge and the requirements so you can see it later.
There are many girls in the middle school who have shown leadership, kindness,
friendliness, and many other qualities. However, there is one girl who has not only shown these qualities, but has also demonstrated the school's motto, non nobis solum, not for ourselves alone.
This girl has been chosen on behalf of the Student Council Committee because she has demonstrated the 5 main aspects of St Hilda's School: love, compassion, forgiveness, hope and grace. For 2015, we would like to represent the Student Council badge to Charlotte Frampton. This term, the Student Council has also, this term, the student chosen to receive the Student Council badge in senior school has too demonstrated all of these values and truly has embraced the idea that a leader does not need to have a badge. However, we're going to give her one now. Please congratulate Charlie Churchill.
Recent news, QG Athletics was just the other day and was a great turnout. All the girls who competed stepped up to the challenge, with a number of girls coming away with outstanding results. Lily Burton and Scarlett Fay taking out the title of the open 800 metres, and Jane Considine a close second in high jump. Just to name a few, can all our athletes stand up and give them a massive round of applause?
Not only was the quality of competition impressive, our newly formed S squad showed their mighty spirit in the grandstands on the day and proved they were not to be messed with. So a huge shout out must go to all the girls who came to support that day.
In other news, it was bad, it was mint, and it was so on last Saturday at QG badminton competition. Reports from the day where all the girls competed with might and determination, showing the opposition how, with grace and guts, the St Hilda's girls bring it on. So can those girls please stand so we can give them a round of applause, please? We finished with 2 teams in second place, 2 in fourth, 2 in 7th and 2 in 9th. So some great results there. Thank you everyone.
When first finding out I was in the sustainability portfolio, I laughed, let's be honest. What does sustainability prefects even do? That's when Mr. Salter declined our first idea of a school veggie garden because it wasn't really sustainable. And it's finally become clear that this portfolio was no joke. So we hooked into the year trying our hardest to make a sustainable impact on the school.
This term we have had the arrival of the artwork around the dragon tree, as well as holding an energy awareness activity a few weeks ago. We were lucky enough to have Angus and Sandy Wilson donate the artwork, which represents how St Hilda's has shown that the industrial and natural environments can work together. You may have noticed the artwork and plaque next to the tree, which was planted in Term 3 in celebration of International Biodiversity Day.
The Energy Awareness Project was a competition that took place in week 2 and saw many girls across the year levels getting involved. There was an ergo and bike machine set up on the reef stage at lunchtime, and girls were challenged to work as hard as they could to achieve the greatest amount of energy. This was then compared to the energy needed to use everyday equipment such as a hairdryer, toaster, or even power your laptop. The competition served as a wake-up call for the girls who participated, as they realised how much effort they needed to generate the equivalent amount of energy to power common everyday tools. Also, well done to the winners of the competition, Ella Costel and Tess Field.
huge thank you to all those who supported us throughout the year. We would like to put the challenge to next year's sustainability prefects to keep the portfolio growing. Nurture it and water it so that the portfolio can be sustained and continue on flourishing. Thank you.
Hi everyone. As you may or may not know, St Hilda's first TSS X and Y Factor was held on Friday night and it was a huge success. There was a big turnout with most of our tickets being sold and the overall atmosphere was really great. In second place we had a tie with Year 10 girls Claire Walker and Daisy Gray, tying with one of our exchange students from South Africa, Teo Koza. Nicole Hoskins and Abigail Bench took out first place, performing an amazing dance number. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to everyone who came along to support us, both for the auditions and for the final night, and to those who auditioned, also to Mr. Winter, who was a huge help throughout the whole organisational process.
Hi girls, I just want to let you all know that music presentation evening is going to be held this Friday from 5:30 to 8:30 in the MPC. On the night, there will be performances from R&B band, big band, strings, senior choir and censor. It's going to be a great night full of music, prizes and great food provided by the St Hilda's catering team. So we hope to see all the music girls there.
Hello everyone. Last week, various music ensembles took place in the competition known as Music Fest. This was held up in Brisbane at Iona College. Unlike a regular competition, there is no first or second place, but instead each ensemble is awarded trophies based on their abilities. Each ensemble did very well this year, and we have some trophies to present to Mr. Crawley. So silver awards are presented on behalf of Senior Choir, Middle and Senior Concert Band. And on behalf of Senza Ragazzi, a gold award. Also in other recent news, the St Hilda's Film Festival saw some amazing entries and the winners' films will be shown when we're packing up chairs. First off, we have the middle school winners, Telephone Noir, directed by Natasha Buckler, and secondly, we have the senior school winners, The Curious Case of Mr. Benton, by Courtney Box, Zoe Dart, and Olivia Emmett. Can we please give them a round of applause?
Over the September holidays, a number of our girls went up to Brisbane to the Queensland Conservatorium to partake in the State Honour Ensemble program, also known as SHEP. At SHEP, you're put into choirs or ensembles with kids from other schools from all over Queensland. This year, I was invited to join the newly established Peter Sculford Symphony Orchestra. Students were nominated to audition, and luckily I passed the audition and was placed as the concert master of the symphony orchestra. As the standard of the orchestra is very high, our conductor, Dr. Peter Morris, picked 4 technically challenging pieces to play. I was also given a solo in one of the pieces, which is a huge honor, and it was a very high standard of work. Although the 4 days of rehearsal were pretty intense, it was really exciting and fun. This program gave me an opportunity to work with other extremely talented young musicians in Queensland. It was such a memorable experience.
I also went to SHEP and I was in the choral division. I was put into the Colin Brumby Choir with an SATB setup. To those of you who don't know what that means girls and boys. This was a fantastic experience as it allowed me to hear a completely different sound than I was used to. It was really fun to be in a group of such talented individuals and learn such complicated songs. Another benefit of going to a large musical convention is the ability to learn from some amazing conductors. Personally, I had a blast with my conductor. He was incredible. He usually conducts the New York Symphony Choir, but took time out of his busy schedule to come and teach us for the 4 days we were with him. I learnt so much from him, and I absolutely recommend this course to anyone who is offered the opportunity. But for now, we have some certificates to the girls who participated. So if I call your name, can you please come up to the front, show you've got your certificates. For our choral divisions, we have Courtney Withers, Stephanie Grant, Lily Gunther, Maddie Hall, Shay, me, Chelsea Smith. For our concert bands, we had Natalie Douglas on French horn, Laura Nichols on trumpet, and for our string orchestras, we had Crystal Liu on violin, Nikki Weil on cello, Samantha Young on violin, Loretta Young on violin, and Kay Young on Concertmaster Symphony Orchestra. Thank you all for your time.
Hi girls, we're here to talk to you about the Year 9 Business Market Day, which is on Monday the 2nd of November at lunchtime, which by the way is on next Monday.
Market Day, for those of you who don't know, is an event run by all Year 9 business students. We are running our own Market Day business, and this year there's a really exciting range of gifts, food and drink businesses. Make sure you keep an eye out for any advertising placed around the school so that you can see what is on offer. This year, if the weather is fine, we will be running Market Day in the old library quad. If the weather turns bad, we will be located at the back of Jennifer Reeves' cafeteria. We are keeping our fingers crossed for a nice sunny day.
So please bring along some money next Monday and take the advantage of all the great businesses that will be operating on the day. Thank you.
Disastrous. Okay. Around the time of the June-July break, 5 Year 10 girls set off on a trip of a lifetime for 6 weeks to Smith College in Massachusetts. Eva, Eloise, Sammy, Lily and I were lucky enough to have the opportunity to go to the US, visiting Washington DC, New York and of course Smith.
Our first stop was Washington DC. Although the sights of the city were incredible, our trip was started off by the stress of losing our luggage. Our first 2 nights were spent in the same clothing that we wore on our 16-hour flight. Not the best start, but we still made the most of it. Throughout our 5-night stay in Washington, we covered a lot of ground. To name a few things, we went to the National Art Gallery, the Smithsonian Museums, the White House, Capitol Hill, the Abraham Lincoln Memorial, and stood at the point where Martin Luther King said his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. We walked through the Korean, Vietnam and World War II memorials, saw the Washington Monument, explored the National Sculpture Garden, and were privileged enough to see the original Declaration of Independence, the American Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We walked through Georgetown, toured Arlington Cemetery, where we experienced the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. You could say that we had a pretty packed few days. From the first moment we arrived, I was in love with everything that Washington had to offer, from its amazing architectural features to the food, the transport and the people. The STEM trip was already something that blew my mind, and we still had a stop in New York and then our stay at Smith College.
After a short train ride from Washington, we arrived in New York to start our tour of the Big Apple. We were in New York for 5 days and managed to see just about every attraction on our list. We toured every corner of the city, the Statue of Liberty, walked across the Brooklyn Bridge, went to the top of the Empire State Building, shopped all through Fifth Avenue, explored Times Square, walked down Wall Street, experienced the very emotional 9/11 Memorial, visited the top of the Rockefeller Center and viewed New York City at night, strolled through the beautiful Central Park and of course explored every level of Tiffany's. We even managed to watch the Yankees play the Tampa Bay Rays at Yankee Stadium and see Aladdin the musical on Broadway. New York had so much to offer and I loved every second of every day, from the moment I ate my breakfast bagel to our squishy subway ride home. It felt like our time in New York was over before we knew it, but the experience was unforgettable and I was so lucky to share it with my friends. Then it came time to sadly pack our bags, not an easy task considering how many shopping sprees were done on Fifth Avenue. Our sightseeing journey was over, but we still had so much ahead of us at Smith College.
Okay, so now for the serious end of the talk. As fun as all our adventuring sounded, the best experiences were created between the 200-year-old walls of Smith College. It was here that we were thrust into the life of a college student, listening to lectures and operating advanced technology, working with professors and other like-minded girls from around the world. There were a range of courses that we were involved in. By Girls for Girls, a class where learning about female health and women's rights were combined, meteorites and asteroids, real-life applied physics, adventures into anatomy, a hands-on experience learning about our body and its functions, Your Genes, Your Chromosomes, taking our own DNA to find our karyotypes, and herbal medicine, taking part in chemistry experiments with dry ice, over-the-counter medication, and making nitrogen ice cream. Whilst the classes were jam-packed with information, we were also taken on field trips to the award-winning Smith College Greenhouse for Sustainability and nearby Amherst College to look at dinosaur skeletons and footprints, as well as having masterclass with a Massachusetts State Police crime DNA specialist and working with body professor Coach Boyko. We were definitely kept extremely busy with our studies, but were given an amazing taste of our learning life after school. And I can't think of 2 teachers or 4 girls who I would have rather spent the experience with.
Whilst partaking in this life-changing summer science and engineering program, which we suitably renamed Nerd Camp, the 5 of us experienced everything that Smith had to offer. The facilities were incredible, and we couldn't help but feel as though the campus reminded us of Central Park. They had absolutely everything, from tennis courts to athletics tracks, rowing sheds, multiple performance theatres, and a state-of-the-art sports complex. Life at Smith mirrored that of a real-life American college experience. Over our 4-week stay, we spent weekends exploring the campus, walking into downtown Northampton, and enjoyed the occasional field trip. We jumped aboard big yellow school buses and took trips to Six Flags Amusement Park, Boston, and even spent the day on Hampton Beach. Our resident interns and activities coordinators had something planned every day to ensure that there was never a dull moment in the Cutter and Ziskin houses. The endless fun we had and the unforgettable memories we shared whilst at Smith are a credit to the incredible girls there. I speak on behalf of Kate, Lily, Sammy, Eloise and myself in saying that the lifelong friendships we formed were the greatest reward of the whole experience, which made it even more difficult to leave Smith behind.
This STEM trip was an absolutely amazing experience that I would recommend to anyone and everyone. We were given the opportunity to learn in a completely new and interesting environment and create amazing bonds and lifelong friendships. I know that I can say on behalf of all of us that we wish we could go back and do it all again. A special thanks goes to Mr. Daly and Miss Sandberg, who accompanied us on the trip of a lifetime. We appreciate all the hard work that went into organising everything, and we are so glad that we were able to share this experience with you. Next year, the Smith College US tour is proposed to go ahead in the June-July holidays. It has now been expanded to include not only the science and engineering courses, but next year will also include the women's history, creative writing, and environmental studies. Mr. Daly will be holding an information evening in the next 2 weeks. Current Year 9 and 10 girls, please look out for the email advertising the evening. Thank you.
Hello? Yes, I'm just packing up now. Yeah, the warehouse has been demolished on Tuesday. What are you talking about? No, I can't make Thursday. No, I can't. Okay, I'll go Friday. Okay, bye.
I
I know you have it.
Have what?
Just give it to me.
What are you talking about? I don't have
We can
anything.
do this the easy way or the hard way. I will find you, Mr. Benton.
How could you do this to me? Her? Over me?
I've already told you I have no power over the decision.
I don't care. I thought we had something. How could this woman come between me and everything I have ever wanted?
Have you ever thought about what I wanted instead of always thinking about yourself? Aren't I all you've ever wanted?
Ah, enough of this!
Unfortunate news, Celia. Such a tragedy.
Yes, indeed, madam. The mayor's young daughter. Such a mystery, too. Hope you have your eyes on this case.
Certainly. My sleuthing will come into play after a good breakfast, my dear. Could you fetch me my bag?
Of course, right away, madam.
Ah, wonderful day, isn't it, sister?
No, it's not. How do you not know? The mayor's daughter. She's dead.
Gosh, what a stunner. What on earth happened?
Well, the coroner's ruled it as murder. The only thing missing is the suspect.
Well, I hope they have a jolly time finding him.
How do you know it's a him?
I meant the woman, the murderer. I mean, woman can be just as deceitful as men.
What is the matter with you, James? Anyway, I'll have to go venture into town later to find some more clues.
Why don't you stay home this time and I can go out and solve the case? I mean, why don't you just stay here and knit?
No! Why must I stay here and knit? Is it for I am a woman? Well, you will not see this woman knitting. Besides, the mayor's asked for my personal decision on this case.
Here you go, once again, just going out, just trying to win that reward from the mayor. Typical.
What is the matter, James? I don't have time for this. I have to go.
Always her! Of all, why must it be her? She's a woman, how could she earn such a prestigious award?
The murderer must have left in a rush. Left the evidence, didn't clean the crime scene. Fingerprints, murder's identity screaming his name to me. I must get my bag.
I must clear the evidence before she gets back. If she finds this, I'll be found out for sure.
James? What are you doing here? With the evidence? Did you murder her?
Yes, I killed her.